Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are across this great wide world of ours. I was just checking to see if this is on. Sometimes I have issues with this on this camera here, but I was thinking this afternoon or this evening, um, I was thinking about right now, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, around Cincinnati, and they've got, a real flood watch out. And I was thinking today, for instance, we've got the XL pipeline, and I was thinking about that today. We got the Keystone pipeline, I should say, is 2,687 miles long. And, here we are moving oil, gas, and everything 2,000 miles. And it occurred to me that here in Cincinnati we're going to have rain for the next, and I should laugh about it, out of the next 14 days. I believe 12 of those days will be rain. And I was thinking, here all this we're going to have what was called wastewater, and wastewater is water that's non-drinkable and just high and there's muddy and everything else like this. If there were a way, well, like I said, I've talked about this before. If there were a way to capture that energy of the water from the Ohio, and either send it to the Colorado, for instance, somewhere in the plains to set up a pipeline, a couple 6 inch, set up a pipeline. Because, like I said, we have a pipeline for the Keystone, which is over 2,000, and that my research showed that the Ohio River to uh, the Ohio River to the Colorado River is 1,223 miles. If somehow we could capture that water source and somehow send it to the Colorado River area, um, that would benefit a lot of the people out west in the Colorado. In other words, what I'm saying is not necessarily deluge all of the Colorado River basin, but to to basically, because we know the snowfall was short this year. It has been down, and I'm sure they're getting snow out there, but it still doesn't make up that. But we've got two major lake, Mead and Lake Powell, that are below the stage. If there were a way that as engineers, and that's something we have Hoover Dam that was created. If there was a way, that here again, I think our emphasis is wrong concerning, you know, this is not necessarily dams, but the use of getting a water source that, here we are and going to be in the spring, and the river, Ohio River, is going to be near, or it's going to be, the what I call pull stage is 25. I can guarantee you, with all this rain we're going to get here in the next 12 to 13 days, we're going to be well above pull stage at the Ohio River. But if we can capture that energy or capture that water source and move that water source to the Colorado River, even though it's wastewater. In other words, what I mean by wastewater is just water that, that's got mud and all that, but you can put filtration systems on the water and then move that water to the Colorado. How much benefit would that have for the people there? There again, it's something I was thinking about today because people, I know the way Ohioans think, and we're going to talk about Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, and parts of Illinois are going to think. Granted, they're going to say, "Oh, we're above we are above the Pole State, Ohio River." But the act of just saying we set up a system where we can lower that pool stage, and another, not necessarily the pool stage, but when we get into this springtime, when we get this type of weather, and if they had some type of system, we could probably eradicate uh, flood damage that may occur, may or may not occur, but you're definitely going to be above the pool stage. And the issue becomes take that water source and move it somewhere where it's more beneficial for people. Like I said, wastewater, it's still water, but the issue becomes it's really going to be muddy and everything else like that. But if you offer, and I've said this 5 times now, filtration on that water and some kind of capture that energy, not only would that benefit the Ohio Valley because you got the rising waters, but if you move that water to an area that needs that water, how beneficial would that be, to the United States? Here again, we have that issue all the time that certain areas will get deluged with a lot of water, and then we have no place to move that water. And then when it comes to 3 months, 4 months down the line, then we're saying, well, we're dry or we're in a drought and we can't move that water. The other issue, is the issue, though I don't think the, eastern forest lands need it, but the issue of the Southwest using this source is something that needs to be looked at and addressed. I mean, we send men to the moon. We created a Keystone pipeline to move oil. There's no reason why we couldn't create a diversion of water, especially wastewater, into an area into the mountain range. Doesn't necessarily deluge the mountain range, but enough to move to increase the dams of both Lake Mead and Lake Powell, because that becomes the issue. And then when those both dams go below pool stage, then they're both going to be hurting for other issues in itself, because then they'll have to deal with the issues with that. The issue becomes too is you have the upper Colorado Basin, lower basin, and you have appropriation rights, and it's used for irrigation. There again, taking that and maybe coming up with a storage area where you can take and move that water into the plains, upper plains or lower plains area, where we have a tendency to have drought in the summer months. These are just some keystones that are key objects that I'm thinking about, and that goes with the fact of the matter is, and my background with water and water rights, and with my nonprofit with clean and safe water, that we need to address these issues. And I'll move the camera down into a more doable or more manageable area for it, because like I said, my organization is North American Clean and Safe Water, but I could see this being global and uh, not only just helping those areas, but helping other areas that seem like the Capistan Sea, probably didn't say it right, where that's drying up, and the issue becomes there was over agricultural, especially growing cotton in the areas, and now the Capistan Sea is drying up, and then that creates areas of sand and minerals that hard minerals that are from agricultural use. So anyway, the other point I want to make about this too is I get a lot of people that like or to my videos, and really these videos are professional videos, and they're not necessarily intended for they're used for educational purposes. I get a lot of these people that are looking forward for me to join their webcams or whatever. I have no interest of doing any of that. It's just my interest is creating education and sound management practices on clean and safe water, and not seeing somebody half naked on a video. I have bigger fish to fry, or as I always like to say, I like to be a big fish in a big pond, quote, necessarily when we're talking about water. So, anyway, these are food for thoughts. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Feel free to reach out to me at North American Safe and Clean Water, yahoo.com. It's available in the video. Anyway, folks, I will try to get out a video in the next day or two, and we'll be talking to you real soon. Have a great night. Have a great day. Talk to you real soon. Bye.